Hey there, Aurora traders and investors. It's Rod with the Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews, also under the best MJ community. Today is Tuesday, February 20th. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Aurora. We're going to take a look at the ACB chart. I'll give some thoughts and opinions on the price action, technical analysis, and what to expect in terms of price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. And we do have some news today that broke. They had a new CFO and they completed the share consolidation and reverse split, which was the second time in about 3 years. And the new all-time high is over $1,500, if you can believe that. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me and the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. Never, ever, ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. And full disclosure, I do have a very tiny position in ACB. I have just a very YOLO small position. You only live once position, and this is going to be something that I'll ride. I'll ride it to zero, or I'll potentially ride it to astronomical levels. Whether or not ACB can get back to an all-time high, that remains to be seen and very much up for debate. I personally don't think that it would happen. I think that more than likely we're going to see some sort of deal done where Aurora will probably join another company as the most likely scenario. But you can also follow us over on X, which is formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So like I said, I do own a very, very small position on Aurora. It's less than 5% of my MJ portfolio. I think it's only like 1 or 2%. But I've done a video on my entire MJ portfolio update for 2024 with percentages and breakdown with percentages. So if you want to check out that video, you can see that. And then, like I said, you'll see Aurora in there. But like I said, that's just a very, very small position. There's a ton of risk and there's a ton of reward. And this is going to be one of those names that's going to be interesting to see how the future plays out. We know that legalization in Germany is likely imminent. They're talking about a vote as soon as tomorrow. And then we could potentially see that go live in April 1st, so the 1st of April. And then, as we know, ACB acquired MedReleaf Australia. So they continue to really strengthen their medical aspect of their business, and that seems to be their key focus now going forward, which I don't think is that bad of a strategy, because basically all MJ companies tried to be everything to everyone, and now we're starting to see these companies both, well, not so much in the US, but mostly in Canada, where we're seeing tons of M&A, mergers and acquisitions, consolidation in the space. We're seeing, creditor protection, bankruptcy filings, left, right, center. And these companies are just starting to differentiate themselves, right, and focus on their one specific area of the market. And I think ACB is kind of the leader in terms of medical, and it's going to be a big beneficiary of the German market as well, in my opinion. But like I said, I think the most likely scenario is that Aurora more than likely gets bought out by another company, merges with another company or something like that. We'll continue to cover it. But like I said, the all-time high now sitting at over $1,500. We'll bring up the chart here in a moment, but I do want to go through the news. So Aurora, MJ appoints new chief financial officer and consolidates its shares. Consolidate shares just means reverse split. So Aurora appointed Simona King, a veteran executive of multinational pharmaceutical company Bristol Myers Squibb, as chief financial officer, CFO. And as you can see, again, it's that pharmaceutical, big tobacco, big alcohol, that's the theme. Think, Constellation Brands and Canopy. Think Altria and British American Tobacco with Kronos and Organogram. And now, like I said, the pharmaceutical industry. So the biggest incumbents, the people and the companies and the sectors with the most to lose are big pharma, big alcohol, and big tobacco. And it's no surprise why they have their paws all over this space already. And it's only just the beginning. The Canadian company also said on Tuesday that in a news release that it had completed its share consolidation. So if you woke up today and you saw that we were up over 10x, 1,000%, that is just because TradingView and the chart hasn't updated to reflect that price. So if we go to the TSX, Aurora on the TSX Toronto Stock Exchange, you can see here that it's already factored in, right? So they already factored in the reverse split, but for whatever reason, it hasn't updated yet on the NASDAQ. And there's always a bunch of people that wake up and get thrown off by that, right? Especially if you're not keeping up with it. But this is the second time, like I said, if we go back, this is on the TSX, but if we go back to the NASDAQ, I think it was in 2020. So if we go all the way back here, yeah, it was back in May of 2020. You can see they did a 1 for 12, and then today they just did a 1 for 10, hence why we were up over 1,000% or 10x here on the chart, but again, it's just because it hasn't updated yet. But the Toronto Stock Exchange did, so they did a 1 for 10, one for 12 a few years ago, and as you can see, the new all-time high is sitting at $1,503. So very, very it's going to be a far cry to get to that point again, right? It's going to be very, very difficult, and I just don't see that as the most likely scenario. Like I said, I do have a small YOLO position on ACB that I'll ride out, but I think the most likely scenario is we get some sort of takeover or merger in the future. So King takes over from Glenn Ibbott, who was one of the longest serving executives of Edmonton, Alberta headquartered Aurora, which is where I'm headquartered as well, where I reside here in Alberta. Edmonton. The company said in the release that Ibbott stepped down to pursue new opportunities and will remain in an advisory role over the next few months. Since 2017, Glenn has dedicated immeasurable time, energy, and passion to shaping Aurora into a leading medical MJ company. So you can see here they continue to stress medical. That seems to be their focus now. And again, companies kind of differentiating themselves. If you look at SNDL, very different. They're into retail in MJ retail and alcohol retail. You got Tilray, who's big into craft beer and spirits, but they actually, buy companies that make it, not just retail, and they don't really have any retail footprint. And then they have their pharmaceutical business, they have their hemp business, their distribution business, their MJ business, right? And then you've got, names like Organigram that are like pretty much 100% MJ play, right? And then what's another company, kind of Canopy starting to kind of really differentiate itself with its U.S. strategy and its ancillary business like Storz and Bickel, sort of that, that side part of the picks and shovels, if you will. So we have been fortunate to have this leadership over the years, and we navigated this emerging industry, Aurora CEO Miguel Martin said in a statement. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Aurora is focused on the medical side of the MJ industry since appointing Martin as CEO in late 2020. In 2021, the company appointed to its board Teresa Firestone, who helped launch Shoppers Drug Mart's medical MJ business. She previously held, and for those of you that don't know, Shoppers Drug Mart is basically Walgreens of Canada. She previously held positions at pharmaceutical and biotechnology firm Pfizer. Imagine that. So Pfizer is the maker of Advil, I believe, and obviously with C-19, they were a big beneficiary of the vaccines, right? So they were one of the first to market with that. So huge company, and like I said, maker of Advil, and you can see that this is an industry that is being very, very infiltrated, I guess, by big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco. Aurora said in late January it planned to consolidate shares on a 10-to-1 basis to restore compliance with the Nasdaq's minimum bid price requirement and ensure continued access to a range of institutional investors. As we know, when the share price is below $5, generally big institutional investors are not that interested. The plan cut Aurora's outstanding shares from 475 million and change down to 47 million and change shares. And we'll take a look at the chart here. So like I said, new all-time high at 1503. Do I think we're going to get there? More than likely not. We're currently down almost 100%, so 99.8% basically from the all-time highs. And it's not the only one. You can take a look at Tilray, down like 98, 99% from its all-time highs as well. And no shortage, right? OGI, very bullish on them long-term, down 97% from its all-time high. And I personally don't think that there's enough, of a business here to propel us back to all-time highs. I think the most likely scenario is that, maybe we get back up to $10-$20 given the right catalyst, but I think that the most likely scenario is that more than likely ACB is going to get acquired by some other company. We're going to see some sort of merger and acquisition, in my opinion. But again, if you woke up this morning and wondering what was going on, obviously the reverse split skewed the numbers. But if you want a more accurate representation, you would just go over to the TSX and you'd see here we're actually down on the day today from the close of, Friday, I guess it would be at this point. We were down over 13.5%. So from the high of the day on Friday. So as of right now, we're nowhere near confirming a monthly uptrend. We haven't even started the monthly bounce. We've been dropping to a monthly lower low, where a lot of other names like MSOS, for example, has confirmed a monthly uptrend the first time in history of the ETF. But you can see here low, high, higher low, and higher high. We haven't even lost the low of the previous monthly candle for the last month, right? Whereas ACB is very, very weak comparatively because we're dropping to monthly lower lows for the last 2 months, right? And we're still in a monthly downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. So this is one of those names that, again, if you're, putting your whole life savings into this, maybe you invested early on, and you're one of the people who is holding a bag from down 99% from all-time highs, that's that is what it is. You can learn from it. There's tons of people in the same situation. Personally, I never invested in ACB until recent. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Don't quote me on that. I have to check when I bought it, but I think it was sometime over the last couple of months. And again, I'm just very, very YOLO position. I'm not stressing over it. It's a very small amount of money that I can let sit, money that I don't need, money that I'm okay if it goes to zero, right? There's always a potential that it goes to zero with any investment. I'm not expecting it to go to zero, but I'm okay with it, right? I have a max amount of money that I put into it that I could kiss goodbye, and I'd be just fine without it, right? But if I'm right and we start to trend back the other way and we see 10x 20x gains from here, I mean, if we were just to go back to 189 now, that's 54x, right, from current levels. So even EMA 12, you're looking at 100% move. EMA 26, you're looking at another almost 10x from here. So like I said, you have to kind of plan accordingly, and Aurora is one of those names where it's got a big retail following, probably not so much anymore, but it's one of those names where I see a lot of people say that, they're very, very bullish on Aurora and only Aurora. And I think they put too much in terms of the golden rule, right? Risking more than you're willing to lose. And I see a lot of people, talking about Aurora, and they seem very stressed, and rightly so, right? Like there's a lot to this business that's still, they're not going to be profitable, in my opinion, for at least another couple of years, 1 to 2 years. Same with Canopy. And like I said, right now, it's not one of those names that I would put a large amount of capital into without feeling a great deal amount of stress, right? So it's no wonder that people who tell me that they invest, quite a bit into this stock, that, they're pretty worried about the prospect of it, going potential bankruptcy or insolvency, right? So there's always that concern. But like I said, this is one of those names where you want to be very, very cautious. You don't want to, break the bank. You don't want to be risking your life savings into this thing. I would just, set a small position, maybe $500 or $1,000 at the most, and just let it sit, right? The most you can lose is $500, $1,000, right? Who cares? It's only money. It's only $500, $1,000, whatever, but I wouldn't put any more than that into it personally. But yeah, we're below all the weekly moving averages, all of the daily moving averages. We're trying to see a golden cross here with the 50 cross the 200 day. It's just been a struggle though, right? Like even to see that. And MSOS had a golden cross all the way back in September, right? So ACB is very, very weak, technically speaking, compared to the rest of the sector, dropping to multiple monthly lower lows, below all of the daily moving averages, below all of the weekly moving averages. We have nowhere near confirming a monthly uptrend. So there's a lot to do here, right? So company, like I said, ton of risk, ton of reward, but the most likely scenario, I think, is that we're going to see, and we could still see more dilution in the future as well, but I think the most likely scenario is that there's going to be some sort of merger and acquisition done with Aurora. But let me know in the comment section below if you agree with me, disagree with me. I always love hearing from you. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Have a great night. We'll see you again on the next video.